Hey kids, today we're going to learn about the world. The world that's around us is pretty amazing, but how does it work? It must be complicated. Secret is the world can only work when everything works together. A bee drinks from a flower and leaves with its pollen. A squirrel in a tree spreads the seeds that have fallen. Everything works together. The biggest elephant, the littlest fly. The gophers underground, the birds in the sky, and every single cricket, every fish in the sea gives what they can and gets what they need. That is how the world works. That is how the world works. From A to zebra to the worms in the dirt. That's how it works. Okay. Oh, boy. So that is how Bo Burnham's How the World Works starts. I'm not going to sing the rest of it. So I got that out of my system now. I do love that intro. The next part I'm going to read out and do a little discussion and a little explanation by request from Evan, sort of. So, Evan was finally listening to Inside by Bo Burnham, just the audio shuffle, audio on shuffle. So, which, bothered me a little bit, but whatever. And then it gets to Sacco's part in the song, which goes, "The simple narrative taught in every history class is demonstrably false and pedagogically classist. Don't you know the world is built with blood and genocide and exploitation? The global network of capital essentially functions to separate the worker from the means of production, and the FBI killed Martin Luther King. Private property is inherently theft, and neoliberal fascists are destroying the left. And every politician, every cop on the street protects the interest of the pedophilic corporate elite." And then he repeats the chorus, "That is how the world works." So, I'm on genius.com, which maybe I enjoy too much. I'm in my car, by the way, so I don't know how the audio sounded weird last time. Oh yeah, and I met my quota on SoundCloud. I can't upload my last message. I texted my brother asking him where I could post these. They're M4A files, so I thought I'd be able to put them on YouTube, but I couldn't. But anyway, figure that out. These might start piling up on my phone before I'm able to find somewhere, because I do not want to pay for this on SoundCloud. I don't even know. Okay, so Evan asked me after he listened to that song, what did he say? Neoliberal. He said, who are the neoliberals on the left? I said, no, I think that's what he said. Something like that. Like he smushed some of the words together. I said, no, he says neoliberal fascists are destroying the left. He's like, what's a neoliberal? I said, I can't probably explain it as well as I would like to. I said it has to do with like markets and capitalism, essentially. So then I looked it up, and I kind of gave him like the Wikipedia definition. I didn't even get into fascist because I have a nuanced understanding of that. I watched a video where George Orwell talked about it, I think is who it was, and how he said the meaning, the word fascist doesn't have any meaning anymore, and that was back then, whenever he was alive, decades ago, I believe. I talked to him, and then Evan asked what was the opposite of neoliberalism. I said, I guess socialism. I said, but the better question to ask is really, what should we do next? And I think he did ask, like, well, what's the solution? And I said, Panarchy. Now, granted, I have been down many rabbit holes. I have not chanted so much, but I've marched in the streets. I never cared for chanting, but I was amongst those chanting. And really, at this point, I just don't set myself on anything. It's just, I'm moving towards something, or at least just moving up. And right now, I like integral politics and panarchy. Evan said, oh, because I'm like kind of talking out of my experience, then I'm some sort of reading from stuff on my phone, and then really I was like, this has been like at least a 10-year journey for me. And for me to even try to explain what I understand these things to be, because I don't think that you can trust everything that you read, is very difficult. And like where I'm at now is not probably where I'm going to be still. He was like, well, what? You should talk about this on a podcast. And I laughed and I said, well, I've actually been recording an audio blog for, I don't even know how long it is now, but I think at least a few weeks, maybe a month. But I thought that will be the topic of my next blog. So here we are on Genius.com, breaking down neoliberal fascists are destroying the left line in Bo Burnham's How the World Works from Inside. It says neoliberalism is an ideology focused on deregulation and free market competition. For decades, it's been the guiding principle of both the United States foreign and domestic policy, a strategy widely criticized. The link to fascism can perhaps be best illustrated through the early fascist ideology of corporatism, in which economic interests of corporations guide government. An immediate link to Sacco's claim on the destruction of the left is the historical context for the U.S.'s neoliberalism, when the global superpower faced off with the Soviet Union after the Second World War. A major tenet of American life became anti-communism. The propaganda of the time paints left-wing thought as an invasive parasite. Because of hostile legislature, supported by culture of the Red Scare, unions, which function to strengthen workers' bargaining power in their conditions, have seen a continuous decline. Groups advocating for social and political change, such as the Black Panther Party, a revolutionary Marxist organization for the safety and self-sufficiency of African Americans, were continuously surveyed and disrupted by the FBI. Sacco previously made a link to this activity and the assassination of Dr. King. At the same time, and to this day, the U.S. empire plays a leading role in both overt and covert interference of left-wing foreign governments. Unsuccessful attempts include Vietnam 1954-75, Cuba notably in 1961, and Venezuela notably in 2020, while the list of successful examples is much longer. Popular neoliberals of today, such as Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Hillary Clinton, often espouse progressive sentiments, but will go far to protect corporate interests. Let that sit. Because of the nature of the USA's two-party system, this is a major hurdle for any systemic change. While on a global level, the International Monetary Fund, which has played a role in Western imperialism since its inception, is also becoming wary of neoliberalism's destructive effects. Whew! That's all from Genius.com. Pretty good, I would say, but whatever. What do I know? So, that did make me, the end of there made me think about how it says this is a major hurdle for any systemic change. Makes me think of Adam Curtis and his latest documentary, Can't Get You of My Head? Nope. Can't. What is that? Can't Get You Out of My Head, An Emotional History of the Modern World. 6-part BBC documentary television series created by Adam Curtis. Definitely changed my mind on revolution, or at least shifted my perspective a little bit. It made me think of revolution as more in maybe the literal term, where it's like just a turning, a circle, a revolution of a certain time period, and that like everything ends in revolution, but that just means like we're just circling back around again, or we're circling up, spiraling up, perhaps. But yeah, I would check that out. But I'm gonna do another little reading, a twofer, to explain a little bit of integral politics and panarchy from an article called Integral Politics, Panarchy, the Political Paradigm of an Integral Society, on brodoland.wordpress.com. It's BRODOLAND. Tagline, some things are better left said. ... It says, see also my follow-up essay, Panarchy, the Integral Social Matrix. I like all those words. So, this is very long, and complex to me. I'm gonna just try and hit some highlights, and we'll start at the beginning, though. 12 years into the new millennium, we bear witness to the ever more violent death throes of the current political and economic order. What will rise from the ashes will be the defining question of our time and will determine whether humanity will suffer through another century of war, death, destruction, and tyranny, or if the people will find it in themselves to transcend this emerging new world order, to overcome it and institute something else in its place, something that honors the inherent rights of all men and women who live their lives in peace and freedom, and to reach their fullest potential. Next heading, the evolution of politics as the center of gravity of our lower left quadrant. Cultural worldview shifted from pre-conventional egocentric to conventional sociocentric to post-conventional world-centric. We can see that there was a corresponding paradigm shift in the organization of society, from pre-conventional autocracy dictatorship to conventional aristocracy monarchy to post-conventional democracy constitutional republic. As each progression transcended the one before it, political power was dispersed to a larger number of potential actors, from the single dictator to the few aristocrats to the many representatives elected from the citizenry. We should therefore expect that these patterns will continue into the next paradigm shift for an integral cosmocentric cultural worldview. Next heading, a vision for an integral political paradigm. I'm just going to read the first paragraph of each one of these. Imagine a world of 1 million tiny sovereign communities. These communities vary in size. Some may be smaller than a city block, others perhaps as large as a small U.S. state. Some are contiguous, with all of their members in close proximity to one another. Others, probably even most, are widely dispersed, existing as networks of people connected only digitally through the internet. But all of these communities have one thing in common. Their members are such by choice, and thus the political power of every person on the planet is in one regard absolute. If ever one's worldview happens to collide with that of their community, they need only find another community that suits them better. They need not even physically move. Next heading, what is Panarchy? In short, a panarchy is a highly decentralized network of sovereign territorial and extraterritorial communities. The term was first coined in 1860 by the Belgian political economist Paul-Émile de Puigt. It refers to a form of government, an archy, that encompasses all others, pan. In his essay entitled Panarchy, de Puigt described a system whereby individuals and communities would be free to choose the form of government they wished to establish simply by consenting to be governed by the community of their choice. Next, heading the problem of an integral government. Before getting to how humanity might implement the panarchic model for a truly global integral society, how we get from here to there, I want to first look at the idea of integral government itself. I'll start by defining the 4 key characteristics that make an integral political paradigm, IPP, and show how panarchy exhibits those characteristics. Finally, I will explore the reasons why any form of government in the sense of monopolistic state, as we understand the term, cannot foster a healthy integral society, cannot be a proper integral manifestation of the lower right quadrant. There's little dimensions graphic, which I like. I'm sure people that are familiar with like political compass and all that will understand as I describe it with 2 axes, X and Y. In the top left corner is libertarianism. On the very top axis is individual. Top right corner is anarchism. Right axis is external materialism. Bottom right corner is state socialism, with the bottom axis going towards the collective. Bottom left corner is fascism, with the left axis going towards the internal. I guess on the individual axis going towards the individual is neoliberalism, going towards the collective is neoconservative, going towards the internal is conservatism, and going towards the external is liberalism. Lots more. The path towards panarchy. I am sure many who read this will dismiss it as too radical, and it is indeed a very radical change from the current paradigm, but it is no more radical than the shift from conventional to post-conventional political paradigms. One need only look at the historical record to see how radical the monarchists thought the U.S. founding fathers to be, how they predicted chaos and the unraveling of society did not come to pass, and within a century and a half, all of the world's great republics had adopted the new paradigm. And then it ends, in the end, I believe the emergence of an integral political paradigm is an inevitable aspect of the cosmos's continued quest for greater depth. Translate, transform. The question is not, will panarchy emerge? The question is, when will panarchy emerge? Okay, so that's about twice as long as I went on Friday. So I made up for it. Hope that helps. Do your research and march on, fellow travelers. Bye.